5 tools. This is my, I love this, nice bit of weight in it. Something to get hold of for roughing out. It's absolutely lovely. Gives no bounce on the tool rest. So I use this a lot. And then basically, I've got a 45 and a 35 and a little 6mm, which I use for doing the foot. So I'm going to put a foot on it. I'm going to do an Uji shape. So you can see. So can we all hear the little noise? That's the bounce, that's because I'm pressing too hard on it, right? And the heel's rubbing, right? So you're getting that little bounce sound. So this is as important as these. So you got to be listening to it as well. Now I could play around with it, I could sand it, right, I could do all of that, but we're not going to, because all I'm looking for is that little lift in here. It's most probably I should do a little bit more, but we're not going tonight because I'm going to move on. And then you just want that to flow continuously, right, no flats. So when I'm standing up, I like to have my lead foot slightly, if I'm cutting that way, I want to have it slightly forward so I get to go in. Yeah, if I'm cutting that way, I like to come in here. Yeah, I very rarely do that. But that's preferences for everybody. Everybody spot the deliberate? It happened because I approached it incorrectly and I got that little bit in there and it wants to zip across. So because I didn't have the point in the right position, it just wants to go junk. Yeah. So you just do the same stroke all the way through, right, until you get the form. In this particular case, I'd be trying to copy that profile. So that profile inside as well, okay? I'm leaving it fairly wide because I want to do something in the embellishment to it a bit later on. Once you've now finished your bowl, and I've got a whole array of them, which I'd like to have a discussion about. So these are all pieces that some are right, some are wrong. So what we have here is a whole different forms. Yeah, and on some of them there are issues, some are fine, and we're going to talk about, first of all we're going to talk about form, because to me form is paramount. If you don't have the form, right, it doesn't matter what you do to it. If it's a pig's ear when it comes off the lathe, it's still a pig's ear when you've done everything else to it, right? You think it's not, right, but trust me, it is. I like thirds, I work on thirds, that whole principle of the eye, the human being, we're all divided into 3 pieces and that's why we look at it. For me, the base is just slightly too heavy, too big, in proportion to the top. The other thing I didn't do is when I took it off the lathe, before I took it off the lathe, I didn't put the pimple in. Because I want to put it back on and I want to be able to line it up, so I didn't make a little indentation right in the center. So I like criticism. I don't call it criticism, I call it an observation. It's how we learn, how we get better. Yeah, without it, we don't make any progress whatsoever. The idea in my head was that I was going to make it totally nicely curved. So an example would be, so that's the effect I'm after, with no foot. It's called, just got a little roly ball. All right, that's the effect. But the problem is this piece here, there's too much belly, there's too much wood in here. Right, when you feel it, you feel that weight, and it's also, it doesn't have a continuous curve. Right, it's got a little flat on the bottom, so which you feel like it should, therefore should have a proper flat on. It's neither one thing or the other. The other thing that for me that is wrong with it is that lip should take the eye into the bowl, into whatever, right? It doesn't always follow the form, but it's going up, so it doesn't help you to go into it. All right. The form on the outside is fine. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Once you take the foot off, and you really reduce it down so it's hardly anything at all, just so it lifts it up. It's most probably a little big as well. But the issue is what I call it's a no offense to people who beginners, because we're all beginners once, right? And it's the inside which is the problem. So it's that transition you get. It's the transition you get from there to there, which is the difficult bit to do when you first start turning. Yeah. So what I try and train myself to do is I'll turn this bit, and then I'll find what my depth is going to be, and then I'll link the two. All right, because I've gone, and then suddenly I've realised I'm not going to make the bottom, so I've suddenly got to turn, and you end up what they call a dog bowl. This is the bit I've just done on the lathe. I didn't make the OG big enough so that when the foot's off, you can see it. It lifts the piece up off the table. That's what you're trying to do with it, because otherwise, the piece ends up sitting down on the table. It doesn't lift up. All right. The curve's fine. I'm fine with that. There's no belly in there. You know, that bit in there we're scared to take out to get that curve right. Okay. It's a really nice piece. It's a beautiful piece of wood. It works because it rolls up and over and in, and the grain is what sells the piece. The problem is I put a line on it, and the line interrupts the flow, interrupts the grain. Right, so that's what you got to think about when you get the piece. So if it instead of being a straight up, it flowed into it, it would also help the foot. Whereas right now it's very square and flat. Yeah. For me, the big mistake here is 3 lines.
Yeah, so I was going to say an extra line.
Too many lines. Yeah. If I was going to do a line, it should just be one. For me. Because I try and analyze every single piece I make after I've made it, so that I try to grow every time, so that I don't get the same mistakes. And for me, this is the problem right in here. It doesn't roll over like this piece does here. This piece has got a really nice roll over and that, it sort of just, you know. Purple Heart is great for burning. It's rubbish for carving, cutting, because it's too furry. So perfect little curve. The thing about bowls is that when you put something in it, they always go to the bottom. So just because it does this, it doesn't matter. But that was the idea, right? And then I saw Troy had stole my idea. For those who've seen some of Troy's work, right? Just a look. It's really just one of those clever little bowls. So we're looking. That's you're right. Yeah, half sphere. And you're looking for a continuous line all the way through. It's close. I'm not going to get much better. This is a lovely piece of macrocarpa. I love different timbers, but macrocarpa, if you're starting out, this is the wood to start turning. Right, forget all your Peruris and Pahudacawas. This is where you want to be, because it's really nice to turn. It's like, I call it poor man's cowrie, but I like them when they fit in my hand, because it's all about touch. Right? You feel it straight away.